Yeah, I think your pain will help define you. And some people stay stuck in that pain and continue to loop that pain over and over and again. And others realize this is your chance to serve others. That we're all looking for purpose. We want everybody watching, everybody listening. You want to feel like today is going to matter. We want to wake up and do something that's going to serve somebody else. Humans are hardwired to serve. They did functional MRIs on people's brains, and we talk about this in Built to Serve. And serving others hits the same part of the brain as having food and having sex. And so it's like it's literally hardwired into you that you want to serve and help. And so having selfish goals for yourself is not enough. It's not enough to drive you. You want to wake up and feel like today is going to matter. And for people who wake up and feel like it's not going to matter, if you woke up every day and felt like today is not going to matter, it's not going to matter, it's not going to matter, that's the path to unhappiness, to depression, to suicide. Where if you felt like today is going to matter, and maybe not to the world, but it'll matter to a couple people if I show up or not, that's the path to fulfillment and happiness. And that's where I'm trying to drive people to, because we've all had painful moments in our life. And when you think about how do you find your purpose, well, there's so many great causes. Why pick one cause or another? Well, it's because you have a personal attachment to it. So I want to solve what I think is the world's biggest problem. People don't believe in themselves enough. And I do it by helping entrepreneurs. I think entrepreneurs are going to solve all the world's problems. It's not government. It's not big business. It's go to the entrepreneurs. Whether I'm right or wrong, that's the thesis that I operate through. And I want to help entrepreneurs believe in themselves more, because my biggest problem was and still is a lack of belief in myself to get to the next step. And so as much as I'm the believe guy, my biggest problem is still I don't believe in myself to do the next big thing. I believe in myself to do what I've done. I could do that again and again and again. But to do the next big thing is where I lack belief. And so I still need it myself. I think we all need it. And so that's what I'm trying to create for the world on a daily basis. And so if you think about, for everybody watching, what was the most painful moment in your life? When did you feel completely worthless? And you may not be completely out of that now, but you're way ahead of where you used to be. And, if that was 10 years ago, you could go back and talk to the you from 10 years ago and give them some really sage advice on what to do. And then recognize that there are millions of people right now who currently are who you used to be, and they need your help. They could use your words of wisdom, and they'll listen to you where they won't listen to Evan Carmichael or Marty Clay or Oprah Winfrey or somebody else, but they'll listen to you because you've been through the same thing that they are going through right now. And so doing that is the ultimate gift. Like and I'm sure you get this all the time, when somebody comes up and talks to you and says, Marty, like your episode changed my life, dude. Like your episode with blank, or the way that you said this was the shift for me. That's the greatest feeling of all time. Like more than making whatever $1,000 on a video or winning some kind of award. It's knowing that the work that you do matters. And some people want to change the world. You and I have big missions. We want to have a huge impact. We want to change we're Canada to Australia, other sides of the world, talking to each other here, trying to change the world. And other people, they just want to impact the 25 closest people to them. They don't necessarily have a big mission, but we all want to wake up and feel like what we do matters. And the path to purpose is through your pain, to making sure that other people don't have to suffer the same way that you suffered, and helping pull them out of the depths of despair that they're in is the greatest feeling of all. And that's what I think people should get addicted to.
Hi, and welcome to the show. Another episode of Unlocked from Within. Today, we're joined by the incredible Evan Carmichael, a renowned entrepreneur, author, and motivational speaker. Evan is best known for inspiring millions of people worldwide through his YouTube channel, where he shares invaluable insights on entrepreneurship, personal development, and leadership, with a mission to help individuals believe in their potential and achieve greatness. Evan has authored multiple best-selling books, including Your One Word and Built to Serve. His passion for empowering others to reach their fullest potential has led to collaborations with industry leaders and global recognition for his transformative work. Get ready to dive into an insightful conversation with Evan Carmichael as he shares his wisdom and strategies for unlocking your true potential and making a lasting impact. Let's welcome Evan Carmichael to the show. Hey, Evan, welcome to Unlocked from Within.
Thanks for having me, Marty. Great to be here. Is that your normal background, or is that just for me?
No, It is my normal background. It's more of a virtual vision board. So as far as I've gotten in Canada is to in British Columbia in Kamloops. So I'm a passionate snowboarder. So I got to Sun Peaks, but I'm trying to get to. I'll rephrase that. I will get to, Lake Louise and Banff and the rest of Canada.
Okay, great. Well, I'm Canadian. I'm from Toronto. I'm East Coast, but you're Australian. You don't usually see so many Australians having a Canadian background, so I thought I would ask. That's great. You should definitely go.
Yeah. So love to get back there. I think last time I was in Canada, we went into Whistler, checked out Whistler, Vancouver. That was like 2013. Loved the people. So yeah, it was awesome.
Wait, 2013? That's a long time ago, man. We got to get you over here.
Definitely. Yeah. So yeah, I'd like to delve into, into your early childhood. Like I've just finished listening to Built to Serve, which I reckon everyone needs to get their hands on. And I recommend it to all my business coaching clients and mindset coaching clients, whether you're in business or not. I just think it's something everyone needs to read, and it's got so much valuable wisdom in there. But I'd like to obviously start back. There was one thing that stood out for me that you mentioned in your childhood is like, at 8, you went and saw a child psychologist and spent a lot of time sitting under your desk. And that's something that, from 7 years old, 8 years old, I could remember I was doing. Like, I hated school and sitting in the classroom. I couldn't think of anything. I just wanted to go and do other things and whatnot. So if you could, delve into that.
We're going. Marty's bringing up the painful memories. Okay, perfect. I like it. What a place to start. So I had an undiagnosed hearing problem that we discovered kind of later on. My parents discovered later on, but I couldn't hear the teacher properly. And so my response was I'm just going to sit under my desk and do my own thing. And I got labeled as a stupid kid or wasn't able to learn, and I carried that with me. The problem was that I couldn't hear properly. I had fluids build up in my ear, and it was hard for me to hear, especially when it was a far distance away. And I didn't volunteer to sit at the front of the class. I felt that was stupid, so I sat at the back and then sat under my desk. And they kind of gave up on me. And I thought that I was a bad student and that I couldn't learn and there was something wrong with me. And then we later found out, no, I just had fluids in my ears, and I had to get tubes installed for a bunch of years and had tons of ear infections. And my parents were just trying to figure out, like, how do we help them? And we switched schools a whole bunch of times. I went to go see a child psychologist. I didn't know I was seen as a child psychologist. And like, when you're 8 years old, I don't know if even know what that means. They just pulled me out of school for a day and they said, you're going to go talk to this lady and she's going to ask you questions. And we played games together and drew some things together. And it wasn't like how you imagine as a psychology session, I guess, with an adult. We were lying on a couch and explaining, all the trauma you've been through and all that. I don't remember what she asked me. I just remember having fun talking to this lady about whatever and having fun playing games with her. And then she recommended I leave, the school again, and there might be something health-wise wrong with me. And that led me on a journey to fix my ears and slowly realize I'm not a stupid student. My sisters were all getting A's in school and were achievers, and they didn't have the same hearing problems as I did, thankfully. And I was always getting, B's and C's, not failing, not, flunking out of school, but not ever doing super well. And then in my last year of high school, fast forward, that's where a switch kind of flipped for me. And my goals for myself surpassed what my parents were expecting of me or what my family was expecting. They just kind of wanted me to get A's. And eventually I got there. But in my last year of high school, I got straight A pluses. And I just decided that I wanted to believe in myself more. I had a mentor at school who was really instrumental, Madame Farr, who believed in me and encouraged me. And it's funny, it's like sometimes it's just that one little chance encounter with the right person who makes all the difference, right? That child psychologist who told me, get out of that school and check out the hearing, and Madame Farr in high school who encouraged me to believe in myself more. And we come across these mentors in life, or even virtual mentors like you, Marty, and all your episodes and the shows that you're doing, that the way that you say something or the guests that you have might hit the right person at the right time, and that's a life-changing moment for them. And so, yeah, I've been blessed to have some great mentors over the course of my life, and that's my story. I don't know where you want to go from 8 years old child psychologist, but I'm excited to see where where this conversation ends up.
Yeah, well, I guess like what I got out of, Built to Serve, there was so much in there, but like one of the biggest things that resonated the most with me, and it was actually mentioned. I interviewed Nick Hutchinson from the Book Thinkers team on one of my earlier episodes, and he said you're one of his biggest mentors, and someone that inspires him a lot. And one of the key things that he dropped was what your theme is. Your purpose comes from your pain. And that really struck deep for myself. And I do mention a lot in my coaching clients, that same quote. And I say, check out Evan Carmichael's book, Built to Serve, because it's such a powerful quote.
Yeah, I think your pain will help define you. And some people stay stuck in that pain and continue to loop that pain over and over again. And others realize this is your chance to serve others, that we're all looking for purpose. We want everybody watching, everybody listening, you want to feel like today is going to matter. We want to wake up and do something that's going to serve somebody else. Humans are hardwired to serve. They did functional MRIs on people's brains, and we talk about this in Built to Serve. And serving others hits the same part of the brain as having food and having sex. And so it's like, it's literally hardwired into you that you want to serve and help. And so having selfish goals for yourself is not enough. It's not enough to drive you. You want to wake up and feel like today is going to matter. And for people who wake up and feel like it's not going to matter, if you woke up every day and felt like today is not going to matter, it's not going to matter, it's not going to matter, that's the path to unhappiness, to depression, to suicide. Where if you felt like today is going to matter, and maybe not to the world, but it'll matter to a couple people if I show up or not, that's the path to fulfillment and happiness. And that's where I'm trying to drive people to, because we've all had painful moments in our life. And when you think about how do you find your purpose, well, there's so many great causes. Why pick one cause or another? Well, it's because you have a personal attachment to it. So I want to solve what I think is the world's biggest problem. People don't believe in themselves enough. And I do it by helping entrepreneurs. I think entrepreneurs are going to solve all the world's problems. It's not government. It's not big business. It's go to the entrepreneurs. Whether I'm right or wrong, that's the thesis that I operate through. And I want to help entrepreneurs believe in themselves more, because my biggest problem was, and still is, a lack of belief in myself to get to the next step. And so as much as I'm the believe guy, my biggest problem is still I don't believe in myself to do the next big thing. I believe in myself to do what I've done. I could do that again and again and again. But to do the next big thing is where I lack belief. And so I still need it myself. I think we all need it. And so that's what I'm trying to create for the world on a daily basis. And so if you think about, for everybody watching, what was the most painful moment in your life? When did you feel completely worthless? And you may not be completely out of that now, but you're way ahead of where you used to be. And, if that was 10 years ago, you could go back and talk to the you from 10 years ago and give them some really sage advice on what to do. And then recognize that there are millions of people right now who currently are who you used to be, and they need your help. They could use your words of wisdom, and they'll listen to you where they won't listen to Evan Carmichael or Marty Clay or Oprah Winfrey or somebody else, but they'll listen to you because you've been through the same thing that they are going through right now. And so doing that is the ultimate gift. Like and I'm sure you get this all the time, when somebody comes up and talks to you and says, Marty, like, your episode changed my life, dude. Like, your episode with blank, or the way that you said this was the shift for me. That's the greatest feeling of all time. Like, more than making whatever $1,000 on a video or winning some kind of award. It's knowing that the work that you do matters. And some people want to change the world. You and I have big missions. We want to have a huge impact. We want to change we're Canada to Australia, other sides of the world, talking to each other here, trying to change the world. And other people, they just want to impact the 25 closest people to them. They don't necessarily have a big mission, but we all want to wake up and feel like what we do matters. And the path to purpose is through your pain, to making sure that other people don't have to suffer the same way that you suffered, and helping pull them out of the depths of despair that they're in is the greatest feeling of all. And that's what I think people should get addicted to.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's amazing. It's profound. Like for so many years, like I'd go through different types of work, jobs, just trying to figure myself out, which I think a lot of people in the world do. And it was more focused with just, making money, and if I have the money, then I can figure out what I actually want to be doing. And in my past life, I was commercial industrial real estate, and got to the point where I was making a lot of money, but I was unfulfilled. And I think a lot of people get to that point, and that's the path where I started going further into personal development and trying out different workshops and seeing where it goes. And I hired a mentor, paid for a mentor, a business coach, mindset coach for 12 months because I was stuck in that real estate job. I was originally earning $60,000 a year. In that 12 months with that business mindset coach, I went to $218,000, which was a huge jump at that time. But he planted the seed in there, like you said, someone believing in you. Even if you don't believe in yourself, like he said to me, you love this content, you're loving it all. Is this something you want to do with your life? And I said, at that point in time, I thought I'm just enjoying it for myself, but I couldn't see the vision of helping people in that capacity. But he had enough conviction and belief in me. And it's taken a long path, but it's been a journey.
Yeah. Well, it's like you struggled with purpose, and now you get to help other people find theirs. Like, it's the greatest thing ever. If somebody listened to your show and said, Marty, like I used to be a blank and I hated my job and I felt I had no purpose, but I listened to you and it changed me. It gave me this spark, and now I'm doing it. Like, that's the best ever, right? That you made that change happen. And so we all have that within us. And sometimes the pain is massive, overwhelming, excruciating pain. And sometimes it's like you may not have been suicidal, that you're a real estate agent and you're making a lot of money but have no purpose, but it was still, a pain. One of the stories I tell in the book is of Candace Leitner, and she was a real estate agent. She's a single mom, couple kids. And one day her daughter was walking to church with her friend, and a car came speeding by, hit her daughter, threw her like multiple feet in the air, killed her on impact, and then drove off. And Candace obviously found out about it, found out who the driver was. He was drunk while he did it. He had done this before, and the police said he's probably going to get off.
Wow.
Because there were no laws around drunk driving. And so, like, can you imagine hearing that? Like, we know who did it. He's done it before. He's probably going to do it again. And there's nothing really that we can do about it. Massive pain. As a father, I can't imagine losing my son, what that would even feel like. And so what that did was shifted her from, she could have been consumed by the pain, overwhelmed by the pain, given up on life, from that pain. But instead, she channeled that pain to say, I don't want any other kids and parents to have to go through this. That I want what happened with my daughter to be like the last time that it happened, so other people don't have to struggle like I am struggling. And then she started MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, which I don't know how well known it is in Australia, but North America and around the world has a significant presence. And they did a ton of lobbying now where, like, drunk driving is a major offense, thanks to Candace Leitner and her work. And that's all because her daughter got killed by a drunk driver. And so she turned that massive pain into a fulfilling purpose that then helped save who knows how many lives because of her work. And so you may not have had a child die or get killed, right? But we've all had some kind of pain, and we've come through it. And that's a story of inspiration that can serve other people who are currently feeling stuck, feeling hopeless, feeling like there's no way out. And then they meet you and they realize, oh my gosh, I don't have to stay here. I can become somebody else. And you give them that hope and that inspiration because you got out. Marty got out. Marty is not the real estate guy anymore. But most people don't get out. Most people stay stuck because they never meet the right mentor or guide to help them. And so they feel like they have to stay stuck. So you had great fortune in that you decided to bet on yourself. Whatever inspired you to go hire a business or life coach, and then to find the person and follow through and work with them for 12 months and listen to their advice and go do something about it. Like, that's a lot of steps that most people never take. But because you went on that journey, now you can simplify it for other people and say, well, if Marty can do it, maybe I can too. And I think that's the greatest feeling ever.
Definitely. It's powerful. And, it's, like I guess the theme of this episode is, like, for me, it was having more pain, feeling more pain was motivating me to make a change.
Yeah. I mean, there's the concept of good is the enemy of great, right? If it's good, you don't change it. It's really hard to change something that's good. Where if it sucks, you really want to fix it. And then it's not just fix it, but then hopefully help others fix it for themselves as well. And that's why your story matters. A lot of times when people get started on these journeys, you might say, well, I'm no Tony Robbins, or I'm no, Joe Rogan, or I'm no whoever, all the people who are ahead of you in personal development or podcasting or whatever. A lot of people look at that and say, well, I'm not like them, so I can't even do it. But people will learn from your story where they won't listen to Joe Rogan or Tony Robbins because they like that you're a real estate agent, or they like that you have an Australian accent, or they like that you want to go to Banff, or they just resonate with something in your story to say, he's like me. Maybe I can't connect to Evan Carmichael or whoever, but I can connect to Marty. And that's the same thing for everybody listening too. Your story, we feel like it doesn't matter. We feel like we have imposter syndrome. We feel like we're trying to be somebody that we're not. You just have to be you and have the courage to share your story and what you went through or what you're currently going through. Like, the fact that you're willing to try is an inspiration. And so whether that's launching your own podcast, whether that's writing your own book, starting your own business, going to Canada and hitting up Banff, like whatever the thing is how long do we sit on these ideas? How long do we sit on these ideas before we decide to just go do something about it? And I hope that people will use this interview as their permission to just go off and start doing something.
Powerful. Yeah. Like, it's funny you say that, like, the whole, this podcast actually came about. The idea of it was in 2014 and 15, and then life got in the way and I never got around to doing it. And then when I had the birth of my child in that first year, looking at her and how she is taking on the world and touching and feeling and learning, I was like, if I'm not here in the future, hopefully I can leave something for her. And that was the inspiration of actually finally taking action on creating this podcast on Unlocked from Within. So it's actually dedicated to her and anyone else that gets inspiration and motivation from it.
That's cool. I mean, the idea that she's now, 22 years old and looking back and watching this interview and just said, man, Dad, you look so young, and look at you with the band background. It's like, it's a cool little history capsule. And what a great extra little motivation to get started. The hardest step is the first step. Like, once you start your first video, it's easier to do another video and another video. Like, how many episodes deep are you now on this show?
It's only 14 because I'm going the long game. So I'm just wanting to select people that either inspire me or motivate me, whether I've read their book or in some capacity. So I'm happy to wait and do the long game on this one.
Great. But you're already better in episode 14 than you were in episode 1.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Right.
It was
comfort in front of the camera, asking questions, all of it. Like, it's already way better, miles better than it was in episode 1. And if you look at episode 100 compared to 14, it'll be the same thing. You're like, oh my God, I got so much better. And that's the process. But once you start moving, it's easier to stay in momentum than to go from nothing to that first step. And similar to your story, a lot of people sit on an idea. They take 6 years to take the first step. And then when they take the first step, they just keep going. It's just like, just don't wait 6 years next time. Take 6 minutes and just start. Right. And so one of the things that I love to try to do is go from idea to action. So when you get an idea, just do some small version of it. Just get started. I had an idea for a podcast when I was driving through. I was on my tour in 2019, and I'm driving through the desert in Texas, and I had this idea to start a podcast with my friend Mark Drager. And why am I thinking about Mark in Texas all of a sudden? I hadn't talked to him for a while. Why do I want to start a podcast with him? Normally it would be overanalyzing, judging, thinking, I don't have time to do this right now. I'm on tour. I got a million things I have to do. I'll do this when I get back to Toronto in another 8 weeks, right? It's like, there's no time to do this right now. But I've taught myself to do the opposite, that idea to action. So I'm driving. My wife, Nina, is beside me and said, Nina, we need to get a hold of Mark. Let's message Mark. And so we grab him on a call. And I told him about the idea for the podcast. He's like, I'm in. Like, let's do this. As soon as you get back to Toronto, I'm going to start getting ready for preparations. It's like, Mark, that's 2 months away, man. I'm not doing. By that time, it's like, that's like a decade away, dude. I'm not waiting 2 months to do this. He's like, well, when do you want to start? It's like, what do you mean today? It's like, what do you mean today? Like today, I'm going to drive to get into my Airbnb. I'm going to hopefully have good internet, and we're going to launch the first show today. It's like, but I don't even know what we're going to call it. I don't know I don't know what the first topic's going to be. I don't know how we're going to intro this. Like all those things that start. It's like, well, Mark, I'm going to be there in 90 minutes. Figure it out. And then I got to the Airbnb. We figured out the internet, and we had our first show. And was it great? No. But the most important thing was you take the first step. And so just idea to action. Expect to suck at the beginning. It's okay. It doesn't mean you suck as a human. It just means that you don't have the skill set yet. Well, you're not going to develop the skill set by thinking about it for another 6 years. You develop the skill set by going off and doing it and trying it and bumping your knees a couple of times. You didn't just get up on your snowboard and hit Banff, right? Like you tied this tiny little bunny hill and you fell 1,000 times and you slowly get better. But no matter how much you read about snowboarding or watch videos about snowboarding, you'll learn a little bit, but you're going to learn a lot more by getting out on a hill and falling down a couple of times until you eventually make your way down that hill.
Definitely. And I guess you touched on, taking action, like to the person that is aware, may not be aware, but they haven't taken the action because they do feel they're a perfectionist. What's an idea or a tool or strategy that you think helps people that are aware that they're a perfectionist to take action?
Well, one, recognize that perfectionism is really just a fear of judgment. We label perfectionism as a good thing. Go, I'm a perfectionist, but you're just afraid. You're just afraid of being judged for something that's not very good. So you're afraid of somebody else's opinion, which then is not a good enough reason, right? Like the reason to do something or not to do something shouldn't be because you're afraid of somebody else judging you. And so then we try to get some kind of leverage. And kids are a great one, right? So it's like, what would your message to your daughter be? If your daughter came to you and said, hey, daddy, I want to start this thing, but I'm too afraid. What are you going to tell her? Yeah, be afraid and don't do it. No, you're going to say, go off. You have to go and do this, right? But you're not living it yourself, man, right? Like you got to go off and do it. So more than the words that you speak to your kids, be the actual inspiration through the actions that you're doing. And if it's not kids, you could think about your future self. You could think about, there's a time right now to launch a show and to be a podcaster and create content. Now imagine you're 95 years old and you're sitting, you're in your rocking chair and it's, your mental facilities are going and you never took your shot. Where back in 2023, 2024, you could have done something, but you were just too afraid. And now it's actually too late. And actually try to feel the weight of that you've been sitting on this thing for not just 5 years, but, 65 years. And now it's actually over. It is too late. Your mind is going. You can't do it. And then bring yourself back to your, current day body. It's like, okay, I don't want that to be my reality. So I got to get going and do something. So those two frames definitely help. On top of then of expecting to suck. Like part of the thing as being perfectionist is that we expect it to be great. Well, just expect to suck. Like the fact that the whole thing doesn't just crash is a win. Just expect to suck on your first time doing anything. Because if you can lower the burden of pressure, then it gives you the confidence to just get started. The challenge is something like this. Like if you're doing a show, who are your heroes or role models inside of interviews or podcasting right now?
Myself.
Yeah.
It's Grant Cardone, Tony Robbins, obviously, yourself. There would also be
well, cool. Like take Grant, right? I mean, Grant and I are at the same agency. I've known Grant for a bunch of years, friend of the channel, been on the channel, I don't know how many times, like a lot. Cool. So the thing is, what good looks like. You know what great looks like. If you're looking at Grant or Tony or me or whoever's like, that's what great looks like. You know what great looks like. You may not expect to be great. You don't expect to be Grant Cardone level from your first episode, right? But you also don't expect to suck. Like if Grant Cardone's an A+, you're like, okay, Grant's an A+, like I could probably be a B-, like I watch enough interviews. I think I could do fine. I'm probably B-. And then you go off and do it. And it's like, it's a F. Like, oh my God, that was way worse than I thought. I completely suck. This thing is terrible. And then people turn that into I suck, right? Like the fact that the podcast sucked becomes I suck. And then we don't want to do it again because we don't want to associate ourselves with failure. So the challenge is, what greatness looks like. And that could be aspirational and inspirational to say, I'm going to learn from Grant and say, look what he's done. I can be my own version of it. But for some people, it's a negative in that they feel like they can never compare, especially at the beginning when you're getting started. And so that's where a lot of people end up quitting, because a lot of people, I've been people's first guests on their show and they never released the episode.
Wow.
They never even Nick. I was Nick's first guest on his show, on his podcast. And Nick has told the story, so I'm not sharing any secret information. But Nick runs an awesome Instagram channel called Book Thinkers. I think it's the largest nonfiction book community out there on Instagram. And he created a podcast show interviewing authors. And I was his first guest. And we filmed an episode. And then he messaged me. He's like, I can't release this. It wasn't very good. And like all of these things is why we can't release it. He's like, okay, Nick, we're going to do it again, but you have to release it. Because I didn't want him to quit at that moment. And he may not have, right? Like, it's not all on me that I saved him, whatever. But a lot of people quit. Like they do an episode, it doesn't go well. It's like, oh my God, this sucks. I can't release it. I'm not going to go. Because I've had other people, again, not release their episodes when I'm the first guest. And so we did episode 1 again. So we had episode 0, which never got released, and episode 1 again. And then from there, he's gone on to had all sorts of big name authors and, blown up his business. And it's great. He spent a couple of days here at my house in Toronto a couple months ago. And it's great to see that journey. But when I first connected with him, I was the first author who ever reached out to try to do something with him. And I just liked his vibe. It wasn't anything, so special or strategic. I just liked his vibe and said, hey, maybe we can do something from my first book, which was Your One Word. So just expect to suck. Expect the first thing to completely suck. And it's okay. It's like in showing your process. What's the goal? The goal is to be an inspiration, to be an inspiration to the audience, to be an inspiration to your daughter. Like imagine if your first episode was amazing. Well, what's the lesson? Where's the journey? Where's the growth? If you just get up on the snowboard and you're crushing Banff, nobody can relate to you, man. Like, how does that happen? You're first time on the board and you're going down Lake Louise. It's not possible, right? You're inhuman. And so having those imperfections is actually the inspiration. The fact that you can go watch Grant's journey. Grant's early YouTube was not fantastic. He's so much better now than he was in the early days, which is the case for everybody. And so just expecting to suck at the beginning releases the burden of having to be a perfectionist, because the exact opposite. You're expecting to go in and having everything totally fail, and the fact that it doesn't is a huge win.
Awesome. Yeah, and like, obviously, Gary V's another one. I had the honor to have D-Rock, his videographer, on the show. And he was just saying, like the first 300 episodes, you can see of when he was posting about his reviews about Wine Library, like there was no one, like it was literally no one viewing it. And he just kept going. And he said, I think it wasn't until the 1,000th episode that he actually started getting momentum.
Yeah. I mean, David is great. So D-Rock, even in that story, he reached out to Gary, I think 8 times before Gary said yes. So he reached out and said, hey, I'd love to film video. Not be your videographer. I'd love to film one video with you. No, or ignore, or no, or ignore. And then like on the 8th time, he finally said yes, because the timing seemed to be right. And then, I mean, D-Rock just recently left Gary a couple months ago, but they had a good stretch together of time, to the point where everybody is saying, I need a D-Rock. Like D-Rock became a noun,
Yeah.
Even though it was early rejection. And so if he quit after the 7th try, he wouldn't have gotten the career that he had. He just kept going, right? And so again, if you lower the burden of expectation and just keep doing it, you expect to suck and you just keep going, you will pick up skills. When you said you're going to go, is it snowboarding or skiing?
Snowboarding.
You like snowboarding. So I learned skiing growing up. I never learned to snowboard. And when I met my wife, now wife, girlfriend at the time, she loved going snowboarding. And I'll go. It can't be that hard. I know how to ski, so I can snowboard. Big mistake. So I get there and we're at the Blue Mountain here in Ontario. It's a decent sized ski resort. And I'm on the super bunny hills, just trying to not fall over. And then I finally get to go on one of the hills that her and her friends are going down, and they're carving, and they're like taking 5 minutes to get down the hill. And I'm just planting my feet. I can't carve. And my calves are burning like crazy. I'm just like going down the whole, just snowplow down the whole hill. And I have to take a break 5 times down the hill just to sit down, because my calves are just on fire. And I felt bad, because I'd eventually get down to the bottom of the hill and they're all there waiting for me. Like, who is this guy? Like, it's kind of ruining our trip. Like he's so slow to get down. Who did Nina bring along for this ride? And it got to the point where like, okay, I feel embarrassed. I suck at this. I don't want to hold her back. We're going to keep going snowboarding at some point. So I found a local hill that was close to my house. And that winter, I went every day to this little hill. Like it had a lift, but it was a tiny little hill, like barely qualifies as a hill. And every day in the morning I would go there. I'd be like the first one there. It'd be me and this old Asian guy. We'd be like both going down the hill together, to the point where then I learned how to carve. Like every time I tried to carve, I'd fall down. Like 30 times I'd fall down trying to get down this hill. But then eventually I could carve one way. I could carve going left but not going right. Like, this is momentum. Let's go. We can carve going left, guys. We're carving left, right? Still like snowplow, and then like just jump and then carve left again. And then I figured out how to carve right. And then I could almost, get to the side and then jump and then come down. And then I got to the point where I was at the skill level or slightly above of my wife and her friends. So like, okay, great. We can go out. And now the next time we're going down the hill, I'm carving, I'm with them. And so that's where, if you expect to suck, but then you put in the work. I didn't expect to, I kind of expected to be okay, right? This is the problem we have. I know how to ski. I'm not going to be great, but I can get down the hill. And then just the utter failure and disaster of that humiliating day. But I'm going to do this. I'm going to practice. I'm going to get down the hill. I'm going to learn how to carve. I can figure this out. Other people have done this. I'm not the first one. That's why seeing other people's stories is really helpful and impactful. And then I got to the point where I can carve and go down the hill, no problem. And so we've all been on these journeys. We've all been on these journeys of learning and growth and acquiring new skills, because at the beginning we're going to suck, and that's okay. And like, if you just put 10 to 20 hours in to learn the skill, you're going to get there. But we just take 5 years to put in those 10 hours, right? And getting that first step is the hardest part.
Definitely, definitely. And like I guess you've had a recent challenging event and adversity, if you can talk about it, with the breaking your neck.
Yeah, I've got the thing here. So I was on my tour, that same tour that I did with when I wanted to start my podcast. And we were 2/3 of the way through the tour, and I fainted and broke my neck. And we were in Denver, Colorado, and I had to wear this for the next 60 days. The doctor said I had a 50% chance of having to have spinal surgery. I had a concussion, which I'd never had before. And it was a really tough moment to decide, well, what do I do? Do I keep going? Do I go home? Everybody on my team, my agent, were saying, okay, well, come home. I couldn't fly, though, because the pressure that an airplane creates you can't have it with a broken neck. So I would have to drive. But I told them, I don't want to just default to quitting. How about I try? So I may not complete my tour. I still had another full month on the road, 8 cities left in the month. But at least let me try, because like I said, your purpose comes from your pain. Being around entrepreneurs and helping is healing. I think I would heal faster if I was on the road talking to entrepreneurs versus if I was just at home sitting on the couch feeling sorry for myself and upset that I had to cancel my tour, right? I'm sure people would have understood if I canceled the tour, refunded the money. I broke my neck. I had a concussion, right? Like, it's not a big deal. But that was a big moment for me. And so my friend Mark again said, hey, you should keep the neck brace. I was just going to throw this away because it's kind of gross. But he said, no, you should keep this as a reminder of who you are, what you had to overcome to do it. And throughout the whole journey, I made a commitment that I was going to go live every day. So I was doing Instagram live every day of my tour. And the day that I broke my neck, I was in a hospital and I hadn't gone live yet. It's like, okay, we're going live. And my wife's like, are you crazy? Like, I can't see clearly. I have a concussion. Like, the hospital lights are insane. I'm in so much pain. I can't feel anything. It's like, how are you going to go live? Like, I said I was going to go live, so I'm going to go live. And so she turned on, like, I can't move. So she turned the phone and turned on Instagram and went live. And now all of a sudden, my audience is used to seeing me giving updates on the tour. Now I'm like half naked with a neck brace in the hospital. And I don't even know what I said. And it was only live for like 5 minutes because the doctor's like, you can't be looking at things. You have to rest your eyes. But I did it. It's like, when it's easy and you do it, it doesn't matter. If you want to race against 3-year-olds, you wouldn't care. Like, you don't celebrate that because it's easy. But when you do something that's hard and just the willingness to try something that's hard, that's how you start to build self-belief and self-confidence. So the fact that I went live for 5 minutes with a broken neck and concussion meant more than all the other lives that I did on the whole trip. And I told my agent, like, how you doing? How you feeling? He's like, well, I can't even get dressed by myself. Like, I get out of bed, and Nina, my wife, had to help me with everything. Help me get out of bed, help me go to the bathroom, help me put my clothes on. And then he starts laughing at me. I'm like, Steve, I'm glad you find, like, I don't know how you find this funny. Yeah, I'm in like insane pain here. Why are you laughing, dude? He's like, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry, but you got to film this. Like, what do you mean I got to film this? I want you to go live and show your morning routine. It's like, Steve, I'm like half naked. Nina's carrying me around. And my wife is this, little 5 foot something, Chinese woman. It's just like, I'm 6'2". It's a lot of work. You got to film that whole thing. And immediately I'm thinking, oh my God, this is not great. Right. I mean, I've gained some weight now because I'm not being very active. I'm still suffering from a concussion and not being myself. But whatever, like, okay, let's film it. So the next morning I woke up and I did an Instagram live of my whole morning routine and Nina helping me get ready and all of it. Just to conquer the fear. Just to say to myself that I did it. Because that's how you build self-belief. If you're afraid to start a podcast, great. Start a podcast just to do it, just to tell yourself that you can do it. You're afraid to ask whoever, your hero's Grant Cardone, message him and say, I'd love to have you on my podcast, right? He may never see it. He may say, Marty, I hate your face. Like, who knows? Actually, Grant's he's, for all of his bravado and everything, he's actually a pretty good guy. But whatever, you never know. Like whatever the voice is in our head to tell us we can't do it, cool. The more you listen to that voice, the more you're not going to take the actions that would make yourself proud. So even if the most likely outcome is rejection or failure, you still do it to show yourself that you're capable. In D-Rock reaching out to Gary 7 times and failing, it was the 8th time that worked. And reaching out, I don't know how many times he reached out to me or my team. Hopefully we said yes pretty quickly. I don't know. Hopefully we weren't rude to you or ignored you or anything. I'm sure you can tell the story. But in reaching out to others too, whoever's on you said, I only have 14 because I'm being very selective who I want to do. Cool. Those people may reject you or may ignore you. And so, but keep reaching out and keep doing it, because all of us have these goals and dreams and aspirations inside us. And the more we keep listening to that voice that tells us that we can't do it, then we're going to continue to listen to the voice that we can't do it. And the more we show up, even if the most likely outcome is failure, the fact that you're willing to continue to do it is the inspiration. So back to your question about, the tour and the broken neck, I didn't expect to finish the tour. I just wanted to go one more day and I didn't want to default to quitting. I wanted to at least try. And because I did, I ended up finishing. And like, I still look at this and like, I can't believe I did that. I've already like regressed a little bit from where I was. And it's a reminder that, dude, you can do these things.
That's awesome.
So
yeah, so awesome. And like, one of the other, the stories in there, like in your book Built to Serve, about your neck injury, if you didn't post up while you're in the hospital, you wouldn't have had the gentleman reach out to you that went through a similar story of breaking his neck or having lots of concussions.
Yeah, Michael. So on my tour, I did a workshop in every city. We hit 23 cities in 90 days, and we do a workshop. And then the next day, my team would pull 3 or 4 people from that city for me to do one-on-ones with. And when I was in Indianapolis, Michael Edwards was a guy who came. I forget where he drove from. I want to say Vermont, but I could be wrong. But he drove from out of town to come just for the workshop. And my team selected him. And so I met him one-on-one the next day. We filmed it. There's an episode on my YouTube channel. And he had gone through 5 concussions. And he's a young kid. He's like 25 years old or something. And he's been through 5 concussions and just terrible stories of, like a kid in his class when he was in high school, like took a baseball bat and like cracked on his head. Wow. And all this stuff. And so all these concussions. And I was like, wow, what a crazy story. And now he's here and he's helping other people. Again, your purpose comes from your pain, right? He's helping other people heal. Why? Because he had to heal himself so much. But it never connected to me because I never had a concussion. I never had any crazy physical pain until I did, and then I'm sitting there on a hospital bed and the doctor gave me, like, I forget, 5 or 7 minutes a day on the phone. Like the lights were really hard. The pain of the concussion of the neck wasn't as bad as a concussion, not being able to see things and think clearly, right? I can deal with pain, but like not being able to use my brain was really rough. And so it was in tiny little increments. And so when people found out that I broke my neck and had a concussion, I was getting DM'd like crazy. All friends, family, how's Evan doing? And thankfully, Nina, my wife, handled so much. I mean, she was doing everything now for the whole tour even. But then Michael was the first guy that when he sent a message, I said, I need to see that message. So he was one of a handful of people out of all the people messaging me, was like, I need to see that. I need to see it ASAP. Why? Because I heard his story. This is the power of telling your story. If he was just a guy who said, hey, I was at your event and I hope you feel better, I wouldn't have seen that. But because I knew he had been through 5 concussions and had healed himself out of it, all of a sudden, he's like the most important person in my network that I know that I want to talk to, right? So I would spend 4 out of the 5 minutes just talking to Michael and seeing what he recommends to me and doing the exercises that he gave me to do. So he went from being just another guy at my workshop to being like one of the most important people in my life at that moment because he told his story. He had the courage to share his story. And so now I wanted to listen to him because I could connect because I was going through that same thing.
Powerful, powerful. And if we can touch on, like, if people don't know about yourself in Australia, you've created a multi-seven-figure YouTube channel that you started in 2009. Like, if anyone's out there thinking of wanting to start a YouTube channel or just starting something on social media to build their brand or profile, like, what do you think are the keys in 2023? Is it just starting and consistently putting something out once or twice or three times a day? Like, what do you think's working in this day and age?
Well, the starting point is the start. The starting point for anything is the start. The starting point is to stop overthinking it and stop looking for all of the expert hacks and just start. If you're at that stage, right? Like, if somebody is thinking about going snowboarding, go to a hill and rent a board and go down the hill, right? Or sign up for the little classes. Like, don't overthink, what board do I buy and what boots do I buy? And like, what's the best mountain that I need to go on and what helmet and gear? Like, we get stuck in all these things that don't matter. So eventually they matter, but they don't matter right now. What matters right now is that you just get started. And so if I'm thinking about starting a new YouTube channel, and I've given this advice, we have a program called Movement Makers where we like drive the people who are trying to start their movement. And when they're at the beginning stage like that, okay, your first homework is at least once a week to post a video. Ideally, it's horizontal. Like, if you're filming from your phone, film from your phone, ideally horizontal, and record at least once a week and put up your channel. And what do you call it? What do you thumbnail it? I don't care. Not yet. Nobody's watching anyway. So just start developing the habit. We went to Blue Mountain on the weekend. It was our anniversary not too long ago, our 11-year anniversary.
Congratulations.
And I looked at thank you. And so when I went to Blue Mountain, this is when I went with my wife and her friends and like couldn't get down because I was snow plowing the whole time. And I looked at the bunny hill that I started on, and it's like, that's not even a hill. Like, that was so scary to me. It's not even a hill. Like, you would go to a park and it's not even a hill. And before the bunny hill, I went down, I don't even know what to call it, like a mound. Like a 6-foot mound. And that's what I started on. And it was so scary to me at the beginning. It's like, that's what I was afraid of. It's nothing. It's nothing. And so the beginning is just start. Just get it out there. Nobody's watching. Develop the muscle. Learn how to press record. You're probably going to screw up a bunch of times. You're going to forget what you were going to say. You may not even record properly. I've done Zoom interviews where they forgot to press the record button and they realize at the end, oh my God, I forgot to record. Like, all the stupid little things that you're going to make mistakes on, just get them out of the way early. So if that's where you're at, that's what we want to do. Just start recording. Next, we want to start paying attention to what makes you come alive. What's fun? Do you want to do solo content? Do you want to do interviews? Do you want to do a podcast style? Do you want to do coaching? Like, if you are a coach, show me you coaching. If you're going to help people unlock their potential, you could do it through interviews like this, but it could also be coaching. You could have somebody come on who shares their story, and then you coach them through how to unlock their own potential. Here's Brian in front of you who's a real estate agent and doesn't know what to do with his life, and then you actually coach him. That could be cool content. There's no right answer. The right answer is the one that makes you come alive. Like, what did you have fun doing? Even though you sucked at doing it, what did you have fun doing? Because the only way to stay consistent at something is if you can enjoy the actual process of doing it. So you need to find something that you fall in love with the process of, right? 2009 was when I started my first video. It's a lot of years since then. I still love making videos. I love talking to you. Like, when I see Marty Clay in my calendar today, it's not like, oh my God, I got another interview. This is so stupid. Like, this is great. This isn't work for me. It's not work. This is fun. We're having a conversation. Time is flying by. This is great. I'm excited for when you come back to Canada. And that's ideally what you want to be doing. Work that you actually enjoy. And so at the beginning, you're modeling success. You're looking at what other people are doing. You're looking at, for you, Grant Cardone and me and Gary or whoever else, and you're trying to do your little version of it. Cool. And then you start to develop your style. Like, what did you love doing? You don't have to do interviews. You don't have to do coaching. You don't have to do vlogs. You don't have to do thought leadership videos. There's so many ways that you can win. You're not going to win by being an Elvis impersonator, right? You could sing all of Elvis's songs, but the best you're going to be is an Elvis impersonator, right? Eventually, you can copy at the beginning. That's fine. But eventually, you need to figure out what your own style is. But you only figure that out through the doing. through the work, through the creation. Then we can worry about thumbnails and titles and gear and team and editing and all the things that we want to have figured out at the beginning that don't matter. So if you're at the beginning journey, make that your goal. 1 crappy video per week. Do you know Alex Hormozy?
Yeah.
So Alex has blown up, seemingly out of nowhere. And I did an Instagram live with him. One of the things that he said was, I did an interview with Brad Lee. Brad is a Vegas-based podcaster. And I was talking about there's not a lot of great YouTube content for business at a high level, and just expect to suck and go create it. And Alex credits that video to being one of the few things that inspired him to take YouTube more seriously and start making content. I didn't know that until he told me. But it's the permission to expect to suck at the beginning and just keep going. Get your reps in, do 1 video a week, just to start building up the muscle, because it might take you a day to release 1 video, but then it's going to go faster, like any other skill that you need to acquire.
Awesome. That's, I think, very wise information. And like, I know, like, a big one for myself when people are asking me about posting and stuff, like I just say, I don't have an expectation. I did in the beginning, and it didn't do anything. So I just put it out there. Like, some of the content I might think looks amazing. Oh, this one's going to go viral, and it doesn't. So I just treat each post, each piece of content the same as any other, and not have an expectation around it.
Yeah, if you can think about who you are serving instead of who you're not, I think it makes a big emotional difference. So we're always looking at who we're not serving. I don't have whatever the number is. I don't have 1 million subscribers. I don't have 10,000 subscribers. I don't have 10 million subscribers. Like, the who you're not game never ends. I'm at, what am I at? 3 something. Why am I not at 4 or 7 or 10 or 50? Right? Like, and that's aspirational, great. But if we live in the who we're not game, then you end up just beating yourself up. Where I would always focus on who I am serving. So if 50 people saw my video, we might think, oh, that's 50 people. That's it. 50 people saw your video. You suck. Well, I would think 50 people saw that video. Like, if I was given a speech, if you imagine at the beginning of your journey and you go to a library and 50 people are there to listen to you, you'd be nervous. 50 people are here to hear me speak. Or if you're snowboarding down Banff and at the bottom are 50 people who are going to be clapping for you, right? It's like 50 people are watching me do this run. All of a sudden, you're more nervous. But when it's a number online, it feels like it's nothing. And so I'd always just focus, and still do, on who I am serving instead of who I'm not. And if you felt like one person was hearing your message and is thankful that you showed up today, then it makes all the difference in the world. And that's where, and I know we're bumping up against the clock, but maybe a little homework assignment is for anybody watching. If there's anybody you follow who is a small creator, let them know how much that person means to you. You may not be the kind of person who leaves a comment or sends messages, but man, the right comment at the right time, your comment might mean the difference between them quitting on their journey or not. And the big channels, the big creators, sure, leave comments there, but I'm not seeing all the comments that come on my channel. But I watched every single one in the early days because I wasn't getting any. And the fact that ABC TV Ads 13 said that he liked my video, like, man, somebody's watching. And so we all have these people who we follow who might be on their early journey. Let them know. Let them know how much their content means to you.
Powerful. Very powerful. And I'll just leave us with one last question. What does the show is called Unlocked from Within? What does Unlocked from Within mean to you?
I would say figuring out the thing that makes you come alive and you can serve others with. So, skiing down Banff is great. And that's a little selfish goal. And those are great. And like, what are you going to do that's going to serve other people? Because again, if you woke up and felt like today was going to mean something, you're going to create something, you're going to help somebody, it's going to make a difference in one person's life, you just show up completely differently. And the best way to unlock yourself from within is to figure out how you can be of service to other people.
Love it. Love it. Again, Evan, thanks for your wisdom today. It's been such an honor. Thanks again.
Thank you, Marty. And if you want to do round 2, when you hit episode 100, let me know and we'll have some fun and jam it up again.
So awesome. So awesome. Looking forward to it. Love to have you on again. Take care. Thank you for listening or watching another episode of Unlocked from Within featuring Evan Carmichael. If you're hungry for more inspiration, strategies, and insights to fuel your journey towards success and personal growth, make sure to check out Evan's vast collection of empowering content. You can check him out on his website, which is evancarmichael.com, to explore his books, which are also available on Amazon. And there's also links in this show notes directly to each book, so his socials, and anything else that you'd like to check out about him. So if you'd like to check out him on YouTube, his channel is at Evan Carmichael, which is the same for Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn. Evan's also on Facebook, which is evancarmichael.com. And if you'd love to stay connected with Evan's mission to inspire and empower millions to believe in their potential and create meaningful impact, keep the momentum going, keep learning, and remember, your potential is limitless. Until next time, keep striving for greatness. Please like and comment what key insights you got out of the show. And please share the episode with someone you think it may help. If you'd love to reach out to me for my next workshops, corporate events, or would like to experience a one-on-one Unlocked from Within session to remove and clear any limiting beliefs or subconscious blockages or trauma, please contact me at martyclay.com. Again, thanks for listening.